right back to you. 1 second.
Yeah, I see the two. I see the two.
All right, well, good evening. As Mrs. Humphrey said, I am Mr. Carnes, and this is the Sandyvalley Symphonic Band behind me, and we're really excited to share our Express Yourself program with you this evening. We hope you enjoyed the choir's performances. We're going to start out with a wonderful march by a gentleman who had two names. His sort of actual given name was Harold Bennett, but he's more well known under the name Henry Fillmore. And he's one of the great march composers and an Ohio boy. And so we actually have a lot of great march composers who are from Ohio. Henry Fillmore is one of them. And I have a special affinity for any marches that Henry Fillmore does because he's from Cincinnati and I'm from Cincinnati. So I like to do Fillmore marches as much as I can. Fillmore often would compose, he actually worked with Barnum and Bailey and composed, he was the director of the circus band for Barnum and Bailey for a long time. So you hear, in a lot of his marches, you'll hear some of the circus march influences. So we hope you enjoy Courage. This next piece has an interesting title, and I bought it for the purpose of performing it on this concert. And then I found out later it wasn't really about beavers, and I was a little upset. It sort of made me an angry beaver that the song wasn't actually about beavers. But in fact, the composer of the piece, he's also a music educator, also a band director, and his low brass section has named themselves the Angry Beavers. That's what they call themselves. And so he wrote a piece for his low brass and low woodwind section in honor of their namesake, the Angry Beavers. So even though it's called Angry Beavers, it has nothing to do with beavers. But I like to think of, has anybody seen the new Geico commercials with the woodchucks? I like to think of the woodchucks chucking the wood during this piece. It's a very intense piece. There's a lot of percussion that happens in it. It's also very interesting because it has some interesting time signatures in it, particularly 4/4 time, but there's also some 7/8 bars thrown in there, which is a little bit tricky, kind of throws your ear for a loop a little bit if you're not expecting it. So we hope you enjoy Angry Beavers. Darn woodchucks. Now, this is, if you're familiar with some of the old Saturday Night Live, and now for something completely different. I think that was Monty Python, wasn't it? And now for something completely different. This piece is a beautiful, beautiful lullaby, a Japanese lullaby by Japanese composer Benjamin Yao. And it uses some traditional Japanese elements and some traditional Japanese style instruments. For instance, the sleigh bells are indicative of a different Japanese instrument. But the piece is actually, it's a folk song setting that the composer did, and it has been long sung among the people of the Burakumin areas of Kyoto and Osaka in a slightly different form for many years. During the 1960s, It was picked up as a theme song by the Baraku Liberation League, particularly its branch at Takeda, so hence Takeda Lullaby. The Burakumin, or Hamlet people, were an outcast community at the bottom of the Japanese social order that had historically been the victim of severe discrimination and ostracism. These communities were often made up of those with occupations considered impure or tainted by death, such as executioners, undertakers, workers in slaughterhouses, butchers, or tanners. Professions such as these had severe social stigmas, or kegare, or defilement attached to them. A Burakumin neighborhood within metropolitan Tokyo was the last to be served by streetcar and is the site of butcher and leather shops to this day. In this lullaby, a young girl comforts herself with singing about her miserable situation. Express yourself. One day she was forcibly sent away to work for a rich family at a village across the mountain. Every day as she works, with a baby on her back, she is reminded of her family, looking at the silhouette of the mountains in the direction of her homeland. So she has this sense of frustration and anger and homesickness and a lot of emotions going through this young lady's mind. And this is the English translation of the lyrics, the Japanese lyrics. And they don't exactly translate, so it is a little bit tough, but English translation would be, I would hate babysitting beyond Bon Festival. The snow begins to fall and the baby cries. How can I be happy even when Bon Festival is here? I don't have nice clothes or a sash to wear. This child continues to cry and is mean to me. Every day I grow thinner. Sound familiar, parents? I would quickly quit here and go back to my parents' home over there, to my parents' home over there. So, like I said, something completely different, but this is just a lovely lullaby. We hope you enjoy Takeda Lullaby. Oh, and you'll get to hear the band has some lovely voices as well. They'll be doing a little bit of singing, just saying the words ooh, but they do have lovely voices.